Ever since the day that you went away,
Hi guys, my name is Andra. I make commentary and lifestyle videos. I know this video is a bit late because people have already talked about this, but I thought that I would still give it a go because the Paris Hilton documentary that I have just watched the other day is actually really interesting. And although I've heard about bits from it in advance, I still feel like it's just really interesting how she, as a person who is the first influencer and like very rich, very famous, is still very relatable to a lot of women. And I'm gonna explain why I think that, as well as discuss the documentary itself. So let's get started. The documentary shows us a new side of Paris. It shows us how she can act in her spare time with the people in her actual life. And it shows us that everything that she's been portraying herself as in the media is a facade. Her voice is different, just everything's different. And to be fair, I have called it before the documentary came out. I was talking to a friend of mine about this, and I did say that I always thought that she's smart and she's only playing stupid, because that used to be a trend amongst the classical Hollywood industry. So I think she mentioned a lot of her inspiration came from people like Grace Kelly and Marilyn Monroe, and that's no wonder because both of these women were intelligent and they were made to be more stupid on the screen for their movies. Because that was a thing, the stupid blonde, that's always been a thing. Like, I've been called that before and I'm super intelligent. And I understand why this is a very old sexist stereotype that has passed down from generation to generation, and I think that's why she thought that she could capitalize off of that. But as I said, I always knew she's smart. She talks about her career as the first influencer, doing brand deals, traveling for influencer stuff, as well as traveling for her products. She has makeup and so many perfume products and obviously a lot of money. And I think for a few years now she's been a DJ, and apparently she said that she's the best paid DJ in the world, which is insane. I did not know that, but I can believe it because you pay for the name. And I'm not saying the production value is not good because I've never seen her DJ sets, but I'm just saying it's the same as if you buy designer clothing. Part of what you pay for is the product, but part of what you pay for is the brand, and it's the same with her. She talks a lot about toxic consumerism and materialistic tendencies of influencers by saying that she's never worn the same outfit twice, which is a thing that we are pressured to do as online people, even if we're not influencers. Like, I don't consider myself an influencer even though I've done collaborations and stuff on my Instagram, but this is still a thing that even normal people who are not public figures get pressured into doing, is, you know, buying and then you sell it on Depop if you don't want it anymore because you've already worn it once and people saw you with it, and you feel awkward if somebody sees you with the same outfit twice. And this is a horrible thing about, you know, how capitalism has kind of ingrained this into us, that we need to buy from as many different retailers as possible because we have all the options. And as somebody whose parents grew up in communism, I can say that my country, as well as a lot of Slavic countries and Eastern European countries, have become a lot more consumeristic as a result of no longer being communist. Because when you're in communism, you have to buy the same thing as everybody else, and then suddenly you have options, and because you have options, you buy and you waste it. You can notice this with food. Back in my country, in Romania, after the Christmas and New Year holidays, there is so much food wastage that it's insane. It's insane. It could feed like whole, you know, cities and villages in poor countries if we could take that food to them. But because people just tend to cook for like a feast of 10 people when it's actually only 3 people in that house, because of that, because they are used to poverty and they used to have no options. I think that, you know, capitalist culture just promotes that. That's my point of this whole thing. She also talks about how her parents always wanted her to be perfect, and she grew up with having cameras in her face all the time, be it at home or just be it later on because of her grandfather being who he was, like the CEO and founder of the whole hotel, the Hilton Hotel line. And she talks about how her mom, who used to be a model, I believe, didn't want the same life for her. But it's kind of contradicting what I've seen from the videos of her being a child that were like filmed at home. That is still a camera in her face that you are getting her used to. And it's excessive, even though you don't want her to be in front of paparazzi. Even the camera that you point at her at home can still make her feel like it's a normal thing for people to follow you around. And I think her mother unintentionally instilled that into her, even though she was trying to shelter her from it. And it's kind of tragic, because I can say that I've grown up in quite a toxic family environment, and I can say a lot of the perfectionism that I have from my mother pressuring me into being perfect all the time with my school and with everything, a lot of that perfectionism is causing my anxiety, and a lot of my fears come from my home life. And I know that my parents had good intentions raising me, but sometimes good intentions do end up giving you bad results, and that's just a thing that her mother, after seeing the documentary, will have to accept and live with. And it's kind of sad, but at the same time, I'm more sad for Paris than for her mom. She also says that when she grew up with cameras and, being filmed and being photographed by her family, everyone in her family focused on her beauty by comparing her to people like I said, Grace Kelly and Marilyn Monroe. And I can understand why these impossible beauty standards can be really painful and hard on a child. And I can understand why she became the way that she was later on, because she's gone through like a rebellious stage, and just everything that she's done makes sense and leads back to her childhood, and not only to her parents but to the thing that we're gonna get onto later, which is the central part of the documentary. She says that she likes animals more than people, which like same, and that everybody thought that she would be a vet when she was a child because of how much she liked animals. And it's funny because I wanted to be a vet when I was a child. Like I said, like a lot of the documentary I related to her, and I didn't think that I could relate to someone as glamorous and as rich as her, because we're just not the same. But it seems that at the core, most women have the same struggles, we just don't realize because of our differences. Then you get a cameo from Kim Kardashian saying that Paris Hilton gave her her career, which is true, and I'm glad that that has been acknowledged, because everybody who is younger, like Gen Z and like the younger side of Gen Z, they all think that the Kardashians were the original influencers, but like Paris Hilton was, and that is a fact that some people do not remember. And without Paris, there would be no Kim, and there would be no Kardashian Jenner family. And one of the things that like stuck to me is when Paris said that everyone says I'm the original influencer, but sometimes I feel like I created a monster, which is true, because social media in the wrong hands can be a monster. It can also be good, but it just depends how you use it. And I think people have to be just wiser with their social media usage. She then goes on this store opening, I think, for one of her makeup stores, and she talks about how hard it is to have to pretend that you're happy in front of the whole world. And I think everybody who's ever had depression or just any mental health struggles can relate to that, because we all do it. More or less, we all have to pretend that we're happy, but it's on a smaller scale. So imagine doing that in front of millions of people. Then she talks about her insomnia and just general anxiety and mental health issues, which again is a relatable aspect of her. And then we are brought to the side of her that I do not like, but I understand why it's being shown. She is a product of capitalism and of toxic hustle culture. She talks about how she's not had a holiday in 15 years and how she's not gonna stop working until she becomes a billionaire. And she also says that herself, that she used to say that she's not gonna stop working until she becomes a millionaire, and then she changed it to billionaire. So, she's unwillingly become a capitalistic monster, and I don't blame her, because that is what the horrible environment of capitalism does to us as people. It dehumanizes us, it makes us into working machines. Then she moves on to talk about her leaked sex tape and the slut shaming that ensued from that. And it's horrible that people used to see her as not the victim, but somebody looking for attention by doing that. Why would you put your own career on the line just to look for attention? I do not see that, and it's sad, because even with the Me Too movement, there are still voices who are saying something like this, who are mirroring what was being said so many years ago. When Kim Kardashian's sex tape got leaked, the same thing happened. And nowadays, when people say that they were raped, everybody thinks they are looking for attention, and everybody's inviting their experience. I used to get slut-shamed even before I ever had sex. That's insane to think about. It's that women get shamed for practically anything. But the man in the sex tape got nothing, no hate. He's the one who leaked it, by the way, and it just makes it worse, Then we are introduced to her boyfriend, who, by the way, is a dickhead. He tries to ruin her DJ set at Tomorrowland, and she leaves him, which good for her, because he seemed so insecure because she was on a stage and she was more famous than him and more relevant, and she was throwing a temper tantrum acting like a 10-year-old even though he's a fully grown adult. And it was really pathetic to see. Imagine you are with somebody who's a lot richer than you, is probably kind of like your sugar mama, and you complain that you're not the center of attention. Boo-hoo, nobody fucking cares. And at the festival itself, Tomorrowland, we don't really see much of her set. We just see people going crazy in the audience. There were people with the pride flag. There was somebody with the Israel flag, and I was just there like... And other than that, we don't really see the festival, but I assume it went well after he got kicked out because he was a dickhead to her. And then we get to the central part of the documentary, which is talking about the behavioral camps that she was part of when she was a child. She got sent to these camps to be re-educated, and because she had just rebellious stages in her life when she was running away to go clubbing as an underage person, which obviously is very, very dangerous, and I'm not undermining that. I used to go clubbing as an underage person as well, and I know that there were like pimps in the clubs that I was going to, and it was dangerous. Like I'm fully aware of that, but I think that solution is such an extreme solution to try to fix an issue that could be fixed at home. If you want to take your child to counseling, take them to like a professional, like a therapist or whatever, and just have them stay at home the rest of the time. You know, drive there like weekly, even daily if you need to, with your child. They're so rich, like they probably have the personal driver and everything. It wouldn't be too much of a trouble to find somebody nearby instead of sending them into the wilderness. Like, this is such a weird American concept. Like, yeah, we have camps, but it's not like this. It's like normal summer camps for school. Like the rehabilitation camps, even the conversion camps. Like, I don't think that we have any of this in Europe, or at least I've never heard of it. And she talks about how being in those camps, she was physically, verbally, and psychologically abused by the counselors at the camps, and she got put into solitary confinement, like in prison, you know, alone all the time. And as a child, that is terrifying and that can leave scars. And she said that she blames that for her anxiety, insomnia, as well as her getting involved with men who are not good for her, because she doesn't think that violence is abnormal. She was saying that she was in 5 abusive relationships because she normalized it in her head to the point that if a man hit her, she would think that he loves her because he's having such an extreme reaction to her. That must mean that he loves her. And it's just sad. She gathered all the survivors together from those camps, and they started a whole movement. And I think they have like a petition and everything. I'm actually going to check it out because obviously I saw the documentary quite late, so I wasn't really in touch with all of this. But I do applaud her for speaking her truth, because I think someone like her, who's been so misunderstood by the media for so many years, this could have really backfired. And people could have just said she's lying. This is not who she is. She was the person that she's been throughout all these years, and now she wants to be a new persona or whatever. Like, people could have twisted this. But I think the documentary had quite a positive reception, which I'm happy for, because as I said, I think she did a good thing. I think she's brave. She's one of the most public figures, and like it or not, that's like a fact. Even people who say that she's no longer relevant, like, what do you mean she's no longer relevant? All your faves are Paris Hilton wannabes, like all your influencers that you watch on Instagram. They wouldn't be where they are without her. She invented the selfie. Like, what is wrong with you? Let me know how you feel about the documentary if you've watched it. Let me know if you want me to make reviews and just conversations about other documentaries. When I was watching this, I was thinking that I need to watch that Social Dilemma one because everybody has been raving about this, but I didn't have time to watch it. But if you want me to comment on that, let me know down below in the comment section. Like this video if you like it, subscribe for more commentary and lifestyle videos, and I will see you guys next time.
Ever since the day that you went away,